Dr. Marcus Webb stared at the computer screen, his coffee growing cold beside him. The numbers didn't make sense. For the past 3 hours, he had been trying to explain the strange energy readings coming from Earth's direction. Something was very wrong. "Claire, can you come here for a minute?" Marcus called to Lieutenant Claire Hart, who was checking the station's security systems. Claire walked over, her boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. "What's the problem, Doc?" "Look at these readings. I'm getting massive energy signatures, moving away from Earth's system. They're traveling at incredible speeds, but here's the weird part. I can't identify what they are." Claire leaned over his shoulder, studying the data. "Could it be a new human spacecraft?" "No way. These readings are off the charts. Nothing we've built can move that fast." Marcus tapped the screen. "And there's something else. I tried to contact Earth Control 20 minutes ago to ask about these readings. No response. Maybe their comms are down. That's what I thought. But I've tried every channel, every station on Earth. Nothing." Marcus turned to face Claire. "When was the last time anyone here talked to someone on Earth?" Claire thought for a moment. I don't remember. Maybe a week ago? 2 weeks?" Dr. Kevin Stone entered the room carrying a tablet. "Hey, Marcus, I've been trying to reach my team on Earth about the soil samples they're supposed to send. Can't get through to anyone." Marcus felt a cold chill run down his spine. "Kevin, when did you last hear from Earth?" "Actually, now that you mention it, it's been a while. Maybe 2 weeks? I've been busy with the lab work, so I didn't really notice." 2 weeks? Marcus quickly typed on his computer. "Let me check our automated systems. We get daily status reports. From Earth, right?" The three of them watched as Marcus pulled up the communication logs. His face went pale. The last automated report came in 14 days ago. Claire grabbed her radio. "Commander Mills, please come to the main lab. We have a situation." 5 minutes later, Commander Janet Mills arrived, looking concerned. "What's going on?" Marcus explained about the strange energy readings and the lack of communication with Earth. Janet's expression grew serious as she listened. "Show me everything," she said. Marcus brought up all the data on the main screen. The energy signatures were massive, moving away from Earth at speeds that seemed impossible. They had started appearing 14 days ago, exactly when Earth had gone silent. "Have you tried emergency channels?" Janet asked. "Everything. Military, civilian emergency bands, even the old analog systems." Marcus paused. "Janet, there's something else. These energy signatures. What about them?" "I've been comparing them to our historical database. They match patterns we've seen before, but only in ancient alien ruins." Kevin looked up from his tablet. "The architect ruins? But those are millions of years old." "I know, but the energy patterns are identical, exact matches." Marcus pulled up comparison charts. "Look at this. The readings from the ruins on Europa, the ones on Mars, and now these signals from Earth. They're all the same technology." Claire paced the room. "Are you saying the architects aren't extinct?" "I'm saying someone is using their technology, and they just left Earth in a hurry." Janet was quiet for a long moment. "Marcus, I want you to analyze every piece of data we have. Claire, check all our defensive systems. Kevin, go through our xenobiology files on the architects. I need to know everything about them." "Commander," Marcus said carefully, "there's one more thing. According to our sensors, Earth isn't just quiet. It's empty. No life signs, no energy signatures, no heat patterns that would indicate human activity." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant, but no one wanted to say it out loud. Janet finally spoke. "Keep monitoring those energy signatures, track where they're going, and keep trying to contact Earth. Maybe there's a simple explanation." But none of them believed there was a simple explanation. Over the next several hours, the team worked frantically. Marcus tracked the fleeing energy signatures as they moved beyond the solar system. Claire ran diagnostic tests on all their equipment, hoping to find a technical failure that would explain the situation. Kevin searched through decades of research on the architect ruins. By the time their shift ended, the picture was clearer and more frightening. Earth was completely silent. The energy signatures were definitely architect technology, And whatever had happened on Earth had happened fast. Marcus sat in the observation lounge looking toward Earth through the giant windows. The planet looked normal from this distance, blue and green and beautiful. But his instruments told a different story. Claire joined him carrying 2 cups of coffee. Any luck raising anyone down there? Nothing. It's like the entire planet just stopped. The architects, Claire said quietly. If they were on Earth, this whole time, why didn't we know? Maybe we weren't supposed to know. Marcus took a sip of coffee. Think about it. Every architect ruin we've found has been millions of years old. Dead cities, empty structures. We always assumed they went extinct long ago. But if they were hiding on Earth, then something made them stop hiding. Something made them run. They sat in silence, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, ancient beings were fleeing from something. And Earth, their home, was empty and silent. The next morning, the station gathered in the main conference room. Janet had called everyone together. I've been in contact with the other outer system stations, she began. Titan Station is not alone. Every human installation has. Lost contact with Earth. The energy signatures we detected were seen by all of them. As of right now, we have no idea what happened to the 7 billion people on Earth. Murmurs of concern rippled through the room. We're going to form a task force, Janet continued. We need to find out what happened. We need to know who the architects really are, and we need to know what made them run. Marcus looked around the room at his colleagues. They were scientists, engineers, soldiers, people who had come to Titan to explore and learn. Now they might be the last humans left in the universe who could find out what had happened to their home. One more thing, Janet said. I want 3 ships prepared for Earth return. If something happened to our home, we need to know about it. We need to be ready. As the meeting ended, Marcus caught Claire's eye. They both knew this was just the beginning. Whatever had sent the architects fleeing, whatever had silenced Earth, they were going to have to face it. Because right now, the humans on Titan and the other outer stations might be all that was left of their species. And if something was hunting civilizations across the galaxy, they needed to know what it was. The discovery of the architect technology leaving Earth was just the first piece of a puzzle that would determine the fate of humanity. And time was running out to solve it. Major Steve Richards led his team through the empty streets of New York City. The silence was overwhelming. Cars sat abandoned in the middle of streets, their doors open. Coffee cups remained on sidewalk tables, the liquid long since evaporated. Everything was exactly where it had been the day humanity disappeared. It's like everyone just vanished mid-action, said Dr. Helen Gray, the team's geological surveyor. She pointed to a crosswalk where a woman's purse lay open, its contents scattered across the pavement. Technician Mike Foster checked his equipment. Still no energy signatures for human life, not even trace amounts. Security officer Beth Kane kept her weapon ready, though there was no sign of danger. This is creepy as hell. Where did everyone go? Steve led them through Times Square, their boots echoing off the buildings. Digital billboards still cycled through ads powered by automated systems. The date on one billboard showed the last day, exactly 14 days before Earth had gone silent. Let's head underground, Steve decided. If there are architect bases, beneath major cities, New York would have one. They descended into the subway system. Here, too, everything was preserved perfectly. A train sat motionless in the station, its doors open. Inside, newspapers lay on seats, drinks sat in cup holders, and devices remained plugged into chargers. Look at this, Mike called from the train. I've got active power readings down here, not just backup systems. The main grid is still running. How is that possible? Beth asked. Someone, or something, is maintaining it, Helen replied. The question is why. They continued deeper underground, following the energy readings from Mike's scanner. 20 levels below the surface, they found something that definitely wasn't part of the human subway system. This is it, Steve announced, staring at a massive circular door made of unknown material. glowing symbols covered its surface. An architect installation. Mike approached carefully with his scanning equipment. The door is active, it's responding to movement. As he got closer, the symbols brightened, and the door began to open with a soft hum. Beyond it lay a corridor that shouldn't exist. Perfectly. Smooth walls, soft blue lighting, and air that felt fresh and clean. "Well," Beth said, checking her weapon again, "I guess we go in." The corridor led to a vast underground facility. The team found themselves in a control room that could have easily housed thousands. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing data in the architect language. Some screens displayed Earth's surface in real time. "My God," Helen whispered. "This place is huge. Look at those readings. This facility extends for miles in every direction." Mike connected his equipment to one of the interfaces. "I'm getting data flow, massive amounts of it. This place is still fully operational. Can you access it?" Steve asked. "Working on it. The system seems designed to be user-friendly, almost like they expected someone to find it." As Mike worked, the holographic displays began changing. Suddenly, images of humans appeared, but not the missing population. These were people from different time periods: ancient hunters, Egyptian builders, Roman soldiers, medieval farmers, modern scientists. "What is this?" Beth asked. "Historical archives," Helen realized. "They've been recording humanity for thousands of years." Then the displays changed again. They showed underground facilities like this one beneath every major city on Earth. London, Tokyo, Beijing, Cairo, Los Angeles, all had massive architect bases hidden below them. Mike finally broke through the security protocols. "I've accessed their main database." "Oh boy, this is incredible." "What did you find?" Steve demanded. "They called themselves Guardians, and they weren't just studying us, they were protecting us from everything." The displays now showed threats humanity had never known about. Asteroids deflected, solar flares redirected, hostile alien scouts turned away. For thousands of years, the architects had been Earth's secret protectors. "There's more," Mike continued. "They were preparing Earth as a refuge for themselves." "What?" "Look at these construction records. They've been building hidden cities on Earth for centuries. The plan was to abandon their home system when something called the Silence arrived. Earth was supposed to be their new home." Steve studied the displays. "But humans were already here." "Right. And according to these logs, they grew attached to us. They started seeing humanity as their legacy instead of just indigenous life to be relocated." Helen pointed to a new holographic display. "What's that?" The screen showed a timeline of the final evacuation. It happened incredibly fast. In just 12 hours, all architects had fled Earth using quantum transportation technology. They detected the Silence approaching faster than expected. Mike read from the data. They had time to save either themselves or humanity, but not both. And they chose. Look. The hologram showed the final moments. Every human on Earth, no matter what they were doing, suddenly froze in place. Then they shimmered and became translucent. The architects had used quantum displacement technology to move humanity into a parallel dimensional phase. "We're alive," Steve said quietly. "All of us. Just not here." "The architects sacrificed their prepared refuge to save us," Helen added. Beth found another section of the facility. "Hey, over here, this looks like living quarters." They followed her through a doorway into what appeared to be residential areas. The rooms were designed for beings much taller than humans, but the basic layout was familiar. Beds, work areas, food preparation zones. "They lived here," Beth observed. "For how long?" Mike checked more records. According to this, the New York facility housed about 15,000 architects. They've been living on Earth for at least 50,000 years. Steve found personal items, objects that seemed decorative, others that might have been tools. They had lives here, families, cultures, and they gave it all up to save us, Helen said softly. The team spent hours exploring the facility. They found hydroponic gardens still running, producing food for inhabitants that were no longer there. They discovered educational centers where young architects had learned about human history and culture. In what appeared to be a central library, they found the most shocking discovery yet. These are detailed files on individual humans, Mike reported, accessing a terminal. Not just data, personal profiles. They knew specific people, followed their lives, protected them from dangers they never knew about. Steve looked over his shoulder at the display. Can you access recent files? Mike navigated through the database. Here, let me pull up. New York residents, final week before displacement. The screen filled with names and faces. Steve recognized some of them. People he'd passed on the street, seen in coffee shops, nodded to in subway cars. The architects had been monitoring them all. Look at this entry. Helen pointed to one file. Subject successfully diverted from car accident on 3rd Avenue. Minor quantum adjustment to traffic light timing. Subject unaware of intervention. They were guardian angels, Beth realized. Literally, invisible protectors watching over every single human. As they explored further, they found a communication center. The quantum transmitters were still active, broadcasting automated messages. What are they saying? Steve asked. Mike translated. Status report. Phase displacement successful. Human population stable in quantum refuge. Guardians evacuated to secondary protocols. Awaiting resolution with silence. Earth facilities remain active for emergency use. Secondary protocols? I think it means they had a backup plan. Somewhere else to go if Earth didn't work out. Helen discovered something troubling in the geological data. Look at these readings. The displacement technology used massive energy. It's destabilized some tectonic plates. Is Earth in danger? Steve asked. Not immediately. But the displacement events triggered by the architects created some seismic instability. Earth needs maintenance. As they prepared to leave the facility, Beth made one final discovery. In what appeared to be a memorial room, she found messages, thousands of them, written in human languages. Goodbye, strange children of Earth. We hoped to teach you about the universe, but time ran short. Stay safe in the protection we've given you. Perhaps one day you'll understand our choice. Perhaps you'll forgive us for not saying goodbye. Steve gathered his team. We need to see what's on the surface, and we need to check the other cities. If all these facilities are still running, maybe we can use them. As they made their way back to the surface, each member of the team was lost in thought. They had found evidence of guardians who had watched over humanity for millennia. Beings who had sacrificed their own safe refuge to save a species they had grown to love. But questions remained. What was the silence that had frightened the architects so badly? Could humanity be brought back from quantum displacement? And most importantly, how long until the silence arrived at Earth? The empty city stretched before them as they emerged from underground. Millions of souls existed in a different phase of reality, unaware they had been saved. And somewhere in the galaxy, the beings who had protected Earth for thousands of years were fleeing for their own survival. Steve looked up at the sun, which seemed dimmer somehow. We're not just explorers anymore, he said to his team. We're inheritors. Humanity's future just became our responsibility. Captain Andrew Cross stood on the bridge of the Titan Explorer, watching the navigation display. 3 ships had left the outer stations 2 months ago, heading toward Earth. His ship carried the science team, while the other 2 held security forces and engineers. Distance to Earth? He asked his second-in-command. 80 million kilometers in closing, sir. We'll reach orbit in 6 days. Dr. Lisa Park entered the bridge, looking tired. She had been working non-stop since they left Titan, analyzing the data about the architect technology. Any news, Doctor? Andrew asked. I think I found something. The architect ruins we've discovered over the years. They're not ruins at all. They're dormant systems. Lisa handed him a datapad. Look at this. The structures on Europa, Mars, even the Moon, they're all connected to Earth somehow. Sergeant Dan Miller joined them. Connected how? Energy signatures. Very faint, but constant, like a network, and all of it leads back to Earth. Lisa pointed to the data. I think the architects have been living on Earth for thousands of years, maybe longer. Andrew felt a chill. How is that possible? We've been exploring Earth for centuries. They were hiding. The energy patterns suggest advanced cloaking technology. They could have been living among us or under us the whole time, and now they're gone, Dan added grimly. Over the following days, as they approached Earth, they discovered more disturbing information. Engineer Roy Adams found automated architect systems still functioning throughout the asteroid belt. These machines were broadcasting data, but in a language no one could read. Dr. Amy Chen, their xenopsychologist, spent hours trying to understand these broadcasts. It's like they left messages behind, she told the team. These automated systems are following pre-programmed instructions. What kind of instructions? Andrew asked. I'm not sure yet, but some of these systems seem to be warning us. Lisa worked day and night to decode the alien signals. Finally, on the 5th day of their journey, she had a breakthrough. I've found fragments of their language, she announced during a team meeting. It's based on quantum mathematics, but I can translate parts of it. She brought up her findings on the main screen. According to these messages, the architects called themselves Guardians. They've been watching Earth for millions of years. Watching us? Roy asked. More than watching. Protecting. Lisa scrolled through her translations. They considered Earth a special world. The messages mentioned something about a great experiment and precious evolution. Dan frowned. So they were studying us like lab rats? Maybe. But here's the important part. Lisa highlighted a section of text. 2 weeks ago, they detected what they call the silence approaching. Every system has the same message: evacuate immediately. The silence? Andrew felt his stomach drop. What is that? I don't know, but it scared them enough to abandon Earth after millions of years. As they got closer to Earth, they started receiving stronger signals from the remaining architect systems. Amy finally cracked the basic communication protocol. I'm getting clearer messages now, she reported. The architects had bases all over Earth, not just small outposts, entire underground cities. How many of them were there? Dan asked. According to these logs, maybe 100,000. They lived beneath major population centers. New York, Tokyo, London, all of them had architect facilities underneath. Roy pulled up geological surveys. That explains some of the unexplained seismic readings we've had over the years. We thought they were natural, but they were artificial structures. The team gathered in the main briefing room as they entered Earth's solar neighborhood. The planet looked normal on visual scans, but their instruments told a different story. Still no life signs, Andrew confirmed. No communications, no energy signatures. It's like someone pressed a pause button on the entire planet. Lisa had made more discoveries about the architect messages. I found timeline data. The evacuation happened over 12 hours. They moved incredibly fast. Too fast for coincidence, Dan observed. They knew exactly what they were doing. Amy discovered personal logs in the automated systems. These aren't just evacuation orders. Some architect individuals left messages behind. She played one through the translator. The voice that came through was strange, almost musical. The silence comes. We tried to warn them, but there was no time. The humans sleep safely now, but we cannot stay. May they forgive us for our choice. May they survive what comes next. Forgive them for what? Roy wondered aloud. The answer came when they found a deep space message beacon, still broadcasting from the edge of the system. It's an architect emergency broadcast, Lisa reported, her face pale. Sent just before they evacuated. She played the message. It was longer and more detailed. To any who find this, we are the guardians of Earth. For eons we have protected this world and guided its children. The great threat approaches, the force that consumes all thinking life. We have prepared for this day, but our plans were incomplete. We could save only one species. We chose preservation over perfection. Earth's humans now exist in quantum protection. They live in safety, unaware of the danger. We go to face the silence. If we fail, humanity will remain hidden. If we succeed, we will return. Guard this message. Guard this world. The choice was necessary. The guilt is ours to bear. The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. They saved us, Amy whispered. But they had to choose between saving themselves or saving us. And they chose themselves, Dan added grimly. No, Lisa said slowly. I don't think so. Look at this data. She brought up more readings. The energy signatures show they used something on Earth, something that affected every human on the planet. What kind of something? Andrew asked. Quantum technology. I think they moved us. Moved us where? Not where. When? Or maybe to another dimension entirely. Lisa's hands flew over the controls. The readings suggest every human on Earth was shifted into a different phase of reality. We're not dead. We're displaced. Roy stared at the data. That's impossible. Not for the architects, apparently. And the best part? According to these readings, displaced humans are completely safe from whatever the silence is. As they approached Earth, the team realized they were about to find a world that held the preservation of their entire species. 7 billion humans existing in a hidden reality, protected by beings who had sacrificed everything to keep them safe. The architect bases, Dan said. If they're still active, maybe we can learn how to access this displaced reality. Or maybe we can learn what the silence really is, Amy added. Andrew looked at his crew, scientists, military personnel, and engineers who had volunteered for what had seemed like a rescue mission. Now they were about to embark on something much bigger. Set course for Earth, he ordered. Full speed. The Titan explorer accelerated toward their home planet, carrying the few free humans toward answers that would determine the fate of their species. Behind them, the automated architect systems continued their warnings, broadcasting into the void. The return journey had revealed the truth. Humanity wasn't extinct, but it wasn't free either. And somewhere in the galaxy, an ancient race ran from a threat so terrible they had been forced to choose between their own survival and the preservation of humanity. As Earth grew larger on their screens, each member of the crew wondered the same thing. Would they find a way to bring humanity back? Or would they choose to follow the architects into the unknown? The answers waited on a silent Earth, in the abandoned cities of beings who had called themselves guardians. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the silence continued its approach, consuming worlds and civilizations as it had done since the beginning of time. The return was almost over. The real mission was about to begin. Colonel James Meyer stood in the main command center they had established in the architect facility beneath New York. 3 weeks had passed since Steve Richards' team first discovered the underground city. Now teams were exploring similar facilities around the globe, and what they were finding changed everything. Report, James said to Dr. Susan Wright, the quantum physicist who had been studying the displacement technology. It's not good, sir. The quantum displacement field that's protecting humanity. It's not just a simple hiding place. It's incredibly complex. Susan pulled up holographic displays showing wave patterns and mathematical formulas. Think of it like hiding a photo in a book by making it two-dimensional. Humanity exists in the same space as our normal reality, but in a different quantum phase. Tech Sergeant Paul Davis entered the room with his analysis team. We've accessed more architectum databases, the truth about why they were on Earth. It's worse than we thought. Explain. Paul connected his data pad to the main display. The architects weren't protecting Earth out of kindness. They were preparing it as their new home. Humanity was just in the way. Dr. Laura Barnes, their behavioral scientist, joined them. I've been analyzing their cultural data. The architects are nomadic by nature. They flee from dying stars, unstable regions of the galaxy, and threats like this, silence. They've been doing it for millions of years. They colonize worlds, then abandon them when danger approaches, James realized. Exactly. But Earth was different. They spent too much time here. Started caring about the native life. Us. When the silence was detected, they faced an impossible choice. Lieutenant Tom Bradley rushed in with a communication device. "Colonel, we're receiving a signal. It's not architect, it's not human. It's something else." The room fell silent. James took the device. "Play it." The voice that came through was unlike anything they had heard. Deep, resonant, and somehow mechanical. "Warning to Earth facility occupants. The silence approaches your system. Displacement barriers will not protect against direct consumption. Time remaining 47 standard days. This message repeats." "Who sent this?" James demanded. Tom checked his equipment. "The signal originated from outside our galaxy. It appears to be some kind of automated warning system." "From the architects?" "No, sir. The technology is different. More advanced." Susan had been analyzing the quantum data while they talked. "Colonel, I've discovered something about the displacement field. It wasn't designed to be permanent." "What do you mean?" "The energy requirements are enormous. The field is powered by Earth's core rotation, but it's causing instability. The architects never intended it to run for more than a few months." Paul pulled up more technical data. "Look at these power consumption charts. The field will collapse in approximately 90 days from when it was activated." "And when it collapses?" "All displaced humans return to normal space. All at once." Laura had been quiet, studying personnel files. "There's something else. The architects left detailed instructions for something they called Protocol 7. It's hidden in their deepest databases." "What's Protocol 7? "A transformation protocol. Apparently there's a way to change human physiology so we can survive." The silence. James felt cold. "Change us how?" "Complete biological restructuring at the quantum level. We would no longer be human as we know it, but we would survive." "Show me." Laura brought up the data. The holographic display showed molecular diagrams of what humanity would become. Beings of pure energy and quantum matter, similar to the architects themselves. "The architects prepared this as an emergency option," Paul explained. "If displacement failed, they could transform humanity into a species that could survive the silence." Tom's communication equipment came to life again. This time it was a human voice. "Unknown facility. This is Captain Andrew Cross of the Titan Explorer. Please respond." James took the communicator. "Andrew, this is Colonel James Meyer. What's your status?" "We're in orbit above Earth. We've detected massive energy signatures from your location. What have you found down there?" "More than we bargained for." "Can you land?" "We need to share information." As they waited for Andrew's team to arrive, James gathered his key personnel for what might be the most important briefing in human history. "Here's what we know," he began. "Humanity was saved by beings who weren't entirely altruistic. The architects prepared Earth as a refuge for themselves, but grew attached to humanity during their time here. When the silence was detected, they had to choose between saving themselves or saving us. They chose us, but the protection is temporary," Susan continued. "The displacement field will fail in 90 days. When it does, all 7 billion humans will return to normal space. And 47 days after that, the silence arrives." "What exactly is the silence?" Laura asked. Paul brought up the most recent discoveries. According to Deep Architect files, the silence is a cosmic phenomenon. When the universe recycles energy from older civilizations, it sends out waves of consumption. Any biological or technological life in the wave's path is absorbed and converted to raw energy. It's happened before? Many times. The architects have survived multiple cycles by constantly fleeing and adapting. They've perfected the art of escape. Tom received another communication. "Sir, I'm getting multiple signals now. Some from human outer stations, others from unknown sources. It seems our presence has activated something." One of the unknown signals resolved into a clear message. "Earth Guardians have fled. Local species now unprotected. Collective consciousness node activated. Species transformation protocol available, upon request." The architects left automated systems to help other species, Laura realized. They've done this before on other worlds. When Andrew's team arrived, James briefed them immediately. The captain's team included engineers and scientists who had been studying the architect evacuation routes. We tracked where they went, Andrew reported. The energy signatures lead toward the galactic core. There's a region of space there that's completely shielded from normal scanning. A hidden sanctuary, Susan guessed. More than that. Our best estimates suggest it's a pocket dimension. The architects didn't just flee, they created their own reality to escape into. James considered their options. So we have three choices. Let humanity return to normal space, and hope we can evacuate 7 billion people in 47 days. Try to maintain the displacement field beyond its operational limits or activate Protocol 7. There's a fourth option, Paul said quietly. We could try to follow the architects, use their technology to create our own pocket dimension. How? The facilities here have quantum generators. If we modified the displacement technology, we might be able to transport humanity to the same type of pocket reality the architects created. Tom's equipment activated again. This time, multiple voices spoke in unison. Warning: pocket dimension creation requires species evolution to quantum state. Biological form incompatible with dimensional travel. Protocol 7 is prerequisite for dimensional escape. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Every solution led to the same conclusion. Humanity would need to transform fundamentally to survive. Susan broke the silence. I've been working on the quantum mechanics. Protocol 7 isn't just one way. The transformation maintains consciousness and memory, but changes everything else about our biology. Are we talking about becoming like the architects? James asked. Similar but not identical, human quantum beings. We would exist as energy patterns that can manipulate matter and energy. We could travel between dimensions, survive in any environment. Laura added her analysis. The psychological profiles suggest humans would adapt well to the transformation. Our consciousness is already abstract enough to handle the change. Paul was working furiously on his datapad. I found something. The architects left a message specifically for humanity. He played the recording. Children of Earth, if you're hearing this, we are gone, and you must choose. We could not give you more time, but we give you options. Remain as you are and flee, knowing the silence will always follow. Transform and join the greater ocean of consciousness where the silence cannot touch you. Or create something new, something we could not imagine. The choice defines the species. Choose wisely. Choose together. James looked around the room at the others. We need a team to explore all possibilities. Time is running out. More than you know, Tom announced, looking at his instruments. I'm detecting energy disturbances at the edge of the solar system. They match silence profiles from the architect database. It's early, Susan whispered. Or our timeline was wrong. James replied grimly. In that moment, in a facility built by beings who had protected humanity for millennia, the few free humans who could make the choice gathered to determine the future of their species. The revelation was complete. Humanity could remain human and die, transform into something entirely new, or attempt to follow the architects into a realm that might not welcome them. The clock was ticking, and the silence was coming faster than anyone had calculated. Contact all human installations, James ordered. We need every scientist, every engineer, every creative mind working on this problem, and we need to be prepared to make the decision for 7 billion people. Admiral Sarah Mitchell stood before the assembled council of humanity's last free minds. Representatives from every outer station, the best scientists and military leaders, filled the massive architect conference room deep beneath New York. They had been debating for 3 days. Time was running out. Let's review our options one final time, she announced. Dr. Carl Bennett stepped up to the holographic display that showed their current situation. Option 1. Mass evacuation. We return humanity to normal space and attempt to evacuate 7 billion people to the outer system. Problems: inadequate transportation, insufficient infrastructure, and only 47 days to complete the impossible. General Robert Hayes nodded grimly. My teams calculate we could save maybe 500,000 people, maximum, and that's being optimistic. Option 2, Carl continued, Maintain the displacement field beyond its operational limits. Dr. Emily Turner has been working on this. Emily stepped forward, looking exhausted. The quantum displacement field is already showing signs of stress. If we overload it trying to maintain it beyond 90 days, the collapse would be catastrophic. Instead of a controlled return of humanity, we'd get molecular disruption, meaning 7 billion people dying simultaneously as their quantum forms tear apart. The room fell silent. Major Derek Woods spoke up from his position near the tactical displays. Then our real choices are transformation or following the architects into their pocket dimension. Protocol 7 is ready, Carl confirmed. The architect technology can transform all of humanity simultaneously when the displacement field brings them back to normal space. They would become quantum beings capable of surviving the silence. But they wouldn't be human anymore, Sarah said, quietly. Define human, Emily replied. Their consciousness, memories, personalities, all preserved. They would still be who they are, just in a different form. A form that can manipulate matter and energy, survive in any environment, and potentially live forever, Derek added. Some might call that an upgrade. Sarah turned to the final option. Tell me about the pocket dimension. Paul Davis had been working non-stop on the quantum engineering. Using combined human and architect technology, we could potentially create our own pocket reality, a dimension where humanity could exist safely. What's the catch? It requires transformation anyway. Biological forms can't survive the dimensional transition. But instead of transforming and staying in this reality, humanity would transform and move to a new one. Laura Barnes had been studying the social implications. There's a psychological factor we need to consider. Every simulation shows that humans adapt remarkably well to transformation. It's actually changing how we think about identity. Explain. Consciousness doesn't require a specific physical form. Whether we're biological or quantum, we remain who we are. The bigger question is, do we stay in a reality where the silence will always be a threat, or do we create our own? Tom Bradley interrupted with an urgent update. Admiral, we're receiving a new communication. It's from the architects. The room went silent. Tom played the message. Humans of Earth. We have been monitoring your progress. Your resourcefulness honors you. We departed not just to save ourselves, but to prepare a possibility. Our sanctuary dimension can accommodate another species. The invitation stands. Transform and join us, or transform and forge your own path. Either way, the choice reshapes the universe. Time, 37 days. They're offering to take us with them, Emily realized. It's more than that, Susan Wright added. Look at these quantum signatures attached to the message. They've been watching us this whole time. Sarah looked around the room. Recommendations? James Meyer stood up. Admiral, we've analyzed all scenarios from every angle. Protocol 7, transformation, is the only option that guarantees survival. The question isn't whether to transform, but what to do after. And I recommend we present all options to displaced humanity. Let them choose their destiny. How do we communicate with people in quantum displacement? Emily smiled for the first time in weeks. The architects thought of everything. The displacement field includes a communication protocol. We can speak directly to everyone once we activate it. Sarah made her decision. Prepare the communication system. We'll present the choice to humanity in 24 hours. Dr. Turner, begin preparations for transformation protocol. Dr. Davis, continue working on pocket dimension creation. We'll be ready for whatever humanity chooses. As the meeting dispersed, Tom continued monitoring communications. Another signal came through, this one from outside the galaxy. Species transformation detected approaching. Universal cycle acknowledges choice. Silence wave recalculating. Humanity. Quantum adaptation successful. Exempt from consumption. Choice archived. Pattern protected. Sarah read the message several times. The silence isn't just a destroyer. It's selective? More than that, Carl explained. It appears to be part of a cosmic cycle. Species that adapt survive. Those that don't become fuel for the next cycle of creation, Emily finished. The architects understood this. That's why they developed transformation technology. 24 hours later, Sarah stood before the quantum communication system. Every displaced human would hear her voice directly in their consciousness. People of Earth. This is Admiral Sarah Mitchell. You have been protected by beings called the Architects for thousands of years. 2 weeks ago, they saved you from a cosmic threat called the Silence. But their protection is temporary. You must choose your future. She explained the options clearly. Remain human and attempt evacuation, high risk of extinction. Transform into quantum beings and stay in this reality. Survival assured but form changed. Transform and follow the architects to their sanctuary dimension. Transform and create our own pocket reality. You have 6 days to choose. This will be humanity's last decision as a biological species. To their surprise, the response was immediate. Billions of voices somehow reached them through the quantum field. We choose transformation. The answer was nearly universal. Only a small percentage requested evacuation attempts. The majority understood what many had suspected all along. Human consciousness was far more than biology. 5 days later, the teams were ready. The architect transformation systems had been modified to offer 3 paths: stay and transform, join the architects, or create humanity's own dimension. Major Derek Woods stood at the control station. All systems ready, Admiral. Sarah looked around at her team. The few free humans who would make the final adjustments but not experience the transformation themselves. They had chosen to guide the process from outside. Execute Protocol 7. Throughout Earth, the quantum displacement field shifted. 7 billion humans began their transformation, guided by ancient technology and human innovation. The process was painless, their consciousness expanding as their physical forms dissolved into energy patterns. As the transformation progressed, humanity split into 3 streams. 2 billion chose to join the architects, their quantum forms sliding into the prepared pocket dimension. 3 billion chose to remain in Earth's reality as quantum beings, taking responsibility for their home dimension. 2 billion chose the adventure of creating an entirely new reality. Sarah and her team watched from the control room as the last biological humans became something greater. Status report, she called out. All transformations successful, Emily reported. Communication with all groups maintained. Reality splitting to accommodate 3 quantum population centers. They received a message from the new quantum humans in Earth space. Thank you, guidance team. We maintain Earth as memorial and message. Your choice now. Join us or final biological duty. Sarah looked at her team. Each had volunteered to remain, biological for different reasons. Some to maintain the historical record, others to greet any biological species that might find Earth. All understanding they had perhaps 40 days left before the silence arrived. I'll stay, Sarah announced. Earth needs human witnesses. Half the team chose to join her. The others activated personal transformation protocols they had prepared, their forms shifting to join the quantum collective. As the new quantum humans began exploring their abilities and the 3 different futures they had chosen, Sarah stood on the surface of Earth, looking up at stars that now held 3 distinct versions of humanity. Tom, who had also remained biological, joined her. Any regrets? None. We did our job. We gave humanity choice and future. The architects are requesting communication. Put them through. The message was simple. Proudly witnessed. Humans create new patterns. Universe enriches. Our sanctuary offers final invitation to biological guides. Sarah smiled. Thank you, but Earth needs keepers. The story must be told. Above them, reality itself was changing. 3 dimensions intersected where one had been. Quantum humans moved between them at will. The architects sent greetings from their sanctuary. And in Earth's dimension, quantum humanity set about exploring their new existence. The silence arrived, 26 days later. Sarah and the remaining biological humans watched through architect sensors as the cosmic wave approached. But when it reached Earth, it simply acknowledged them and flowed around the planetary system.